Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Rose Tarot and Astrology. I am your host, Mel Rose, and today is Monday, January 13, 2025. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for checking in on your regular current astrology. I hope you are all feeling happy and well. And the sun is in Capricorn today and the moon is in Cancer. But before we get into that, please go ahead and like the video, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below. Say hello to me so I can say hello back to you, okay? Thank you for being here. Now, the Sun and Mercury are together in Capricorn right now. So Sun and Capricorn, this is a time when we are focused on what our ambitions are, what our long-term goals are, and the work that we have to do to get there. So Sun in Capricorn is notoriously a time when people really are hard at work and very focused on those ambitions. And with Mercury there, you know, that's what our thoughts and our plans and our communications are all about right now too. It's about that bigger goal that I have and the work that I'm doing to get it. So I just want to remind you, because it's a full moon and the next 2 weeks are going to be a waning moon, that Capricorn sometimes forgets to take a break, okay? Capricorn sometimes doesn't understand that breaks are essential to doing your best work, but breaks are essential to doing your best work. You have to stop and take care of your body. You have to take care of your mental health and your emotional and spiritual health, okay? You have to interact with the people from your friends and family. You have to maintain those relationships and perhaps probably your home and whatever other, you know, not specifically the work you need to do, stuff that actually helps support you along the way on your path to getting your goals met, okay? So don't forget to take a break, take a little time out, take a breather, a little nap if you feel like it. It's a full moon. The energy can be pretty intense. So with that, the full moon in Cancer today is, you know, full moon in Cancer is the first full moon of the year every year. It is a time to really take emotional initiative and emotional responsibility for the things that you're trying to get started, for the things that you're trying to move forward in your life, especially when it comes to your home and your heart and your close personal relationships. And this full moon is not just a full moon in Cancer, which is a big deal because it is the first one of the year and it is a cardinal sign, but it's also, and being a cardinal sign, we know that we're at the beginning of a season, okay? The other thing about this full moon is that it is conjunct to Mars retrograde and it is trining Neptune. So the Mars retrograde in Cancer, just, you know, I think I want to break it down like we become a lot more vigilant, we become a lot more protective, especially for the home side of our life. And so we have to really sort of be on guard about being, you know, a little much with about our vigilance and our protectiveness, right? We want to make sure that we're doing it for the right reasons and we're not being overbearing in the way that we do it, okay? And then trine to Neptune just brings in a little bit of idealizing and illusions that persist, ways that we have of thinking of things or feeling about things that might feel good to us, but maybe they're not the reality for everybody involved in that situation, okay? So we just want to make sure that not make sure, but like just ask yourself, am I idealizing in this situation? If things don't seem to line up between, you know, how I feel and what you're saying, then one of the questions I need to ask myself is, you know, am I deluding myself about something? Am I idealizing something in a way that doesn't, you know, allow me to be accepting of the truth, right? It's important, but at this time, this is a very powerful full moon. It's a very effective full moon. Okay, something is culminated, and we are on the verge of huge transformations. And I want to remind you that, you know, this full moon is opposite the sun. That Mars retrograde is still technically opposite Pluto. So when the moon moves along to conjunct Mars retrograde today, which it will do, then you know, then we've got the moon opposite Pluto, big transformations, okay? Like perhaps feeling conflicted about the changes that are coming along, but also it being a full moon, being able to celebrate how far we've come and really and really again like embrace the changes as they're coming up. And with embracing the changes, I want to bring up the next thing, which is in that lower right hand corner of the screen. You can see the sun trining Uranus. that's a big deal for today. It can be very lucky. It can be a little bit confusing. Uranus is all about unpredictable changes. It's all about sort of upgrades in perspective, upgrades in technology, but really just giving us reasons to look at things a different way, or giving us reasons to have to manage something a different way than we thought that we would have to, right? Especially with the sun trining Uranus, it's unpredictable grace. It's sort of shining a light on that stuff that is happening, sort of outside our control, but that we have to respond to. And things can develop very quickly. That's what I want you to know. So, sometimes we are conditioned, we have conditioned ourselves, or have been conditioned in life to look at surprises and sort of sudden changes as though they are not good, just because it's happening so quickly. I resist because this is happening too quickly. I resist because I wasn't expecting this, right? And with that trine, that grace available to us at this time, I just want you to try to look on the bright side, try to find the silver lining to whatever clouds might surprise you today, okay? Because often things don't look so great on the front end, but then when we get through it or we get into it, we realize, hey, this could be really good for me. And that's what I want you to keep in mind right now, is that especially the quick and unexpected changes that arise could be really good for us at this time. And that brings me over here to the right to Venus square Jupiter. Too sweet, too pleasant, too much. Okay, so there's always a tendency with squares to Jupiter, especially Venus, because they're both our benefics and they both just want us to have more of what we love, right? But there's a little challenging vibe there with the square, so it might be a chance for us to overindulge. It might be a chance that we want to take on more or overcommit to things that we can't really rightfully commit to, or drink too much or eat too much, or just like overindulge in those sensory pleasures that help us feel the way we like to feel. So there's that. And then there can be an element here of just the situations that we find ourselves in, or the people that we find ourselves interacting with can feel a little too nice, or a little too sweet, a little too much of the good stuff. And so, that's when it can be tempting to sort of overindulge and idealize a situation, saying it's okay for me to overindulge. So, just be aware of that. And I would say try not to overindulge. Try to practice moderation at this time, because Venus is coming up on a conjunction with Saturn. That's coming up on Saturday, okay? And you can see it in the lower right-hand corner of the chart there in Pisces. Venus and Saturn are very close together. They're going to be at the same place at the same time in the sky from our perspective on Saturday. And that can bring about a lot of tension in terms of where we were overindulging, or where we promised to too much, where we promised more than we could deliver. Now, the bill is coming due. It's going to come due quickly. It's going to come due on Saturday. Okay, so whatever it is that we think that we can get away with at this time, that we think we can have more of than we think than we really rightly should, like for our own well-being, then on Saturday we're going to find out about like what the limitations are to that, and what we maybe find out where we should have stopped, right? So be aware of that. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about today, over here on the other side of the screen by the rose, you can see I've outlined this cradle shape that exists on the chart as well. And that's a cradle shape between with the Mars and the Sun are opposite today. Okay, well, they're coming up on an exact opposition. It's not today, but Mars and the Sun are opposite, and they are the sort of dividing line for half of the chart here. And the other parts of that cradle shape are sextiles, which are cooperative, and trines, which are very gracious, very allowing, very open and positive. But that opposition that goes across there, it acts a little bit like a mirror. A cradle is meant to protect, right? It's like where you put the baby so you know where the baby will be, right? So that's fine. And from inside our cradles, we can feel protected. But that opposition is really like a mirror that goes across the top of our cradle, or our little cubby that we're in, our little bowl, our little box that we live in, right? There's a mirror that goes across it. And the mirror is like this. Sorry, I'm beating up my pens now. The mirror is like this. When I project something out onto somebody else, when I say, I don't like this thing you did because of this and this and this, and I know that this is what you think and why you're doing this. But really, I'm talking about my own motivations and not theirs, right? That's what a projection is. So when I project on others, I'm going to see myself really clearly doing that. Okay, I'm going to know. I'm going to know. And maybe because they have to tell me, or maybe just because when I look them in the eyes, they're going to go, for real, and then like, oh, maybe that's my stuff that I'm projecting onto you. So that mirror allows us to see what we are putting on other people that is not necessarily theirs, to take. And it also helps others to see what they're putting on us that is not really ours. Okay, so there's nothing you really have to do about that, except if you see somebody saying something about you or assuming something about you that is not true, you might just hold up your mirror and say, yeah, that's not me. Like that might be somebody here, but that's not me, right? And do that in as friendly and loving a way as possible, so that we can communicate well with one another and perhaps learn from our interactions, rather than having these aggravating fights all the time. Okay, that's all I have for you today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will be back here on Wednesday the 15th to talk about the next couple of days of astrology. Bye-bye.